I'll be starting in a second, all by myself. One second, 1 second. Okay. Oh, let me assume the position. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Go Nintendo Podcast, webisode 928, the Smoliv Podcast. Smoliv protects itself from enemies by emitting oil from the fruit on its head. This oil is bitter and astringent enough to make someone flinch. It's a foot tall, it's 14 pounds, it's male and female. Its category is olive, of course. The ability it has is Early Bird. The Pokemon awakens from sleep twice as fast as other Pokemon. There you go. That's your Pokemon. Thanks for. I don't even know if anybody's going to be here at this random time because I did warn in the Discord that I'd be doing a random show, a random timed show because of all the E3, not E3 insanity. But I got to fit it in where I can because there's stuff to do this weekend. Sorry, I want to just making sure we're centered enough, good enough. So here I am. It's literally just me because I didn't know when I was going to be able to do it because today was busy. Tomorrow will be busy. Sunday will be busy. So I was just going to do it where I could do it, and this is it. And it happens to be at 11:28 a.m. New Jersey time, 11 a.m. p.m. As you can tell, it's been a long day. And I'm here. It's just me. Mom brain's asleep upstairs. I believe Dew Michaels is at home. Well, I know Dew is at home and Nikki Hill is at home, of course. I think Dew's playing some Fortnite. I don't know what Nikki Hill's doing. Josh Grobot's partying it up. George isn't anywhere around. George has too many limes to carry this weekend, so it's just me. Just me. So I don't know how this show's going to go. It's not the first solo show I've done, but it's been a while. And to tell you the truth, I end up liking doing solo shows every once in a while because I love to talk, of course, and I got plenty to talk about, and might not be funny as our shows usually are. At least I think they're funny, but it'll be a show. I can guarantee it'll be a show. So, without further ado, thanks to Gecko Kitsune and Axel and Young DMO and William and Kalas for joining me at night for just this podcast. You guys are officially part of the podcast crew right now, more so than any other podcast. It's us guys. We're doing a show tonight. You are not dreaming, Axel. It's me. I'm here for a late night pod. So yes, as I said, oh, Mac tonight. I like seeing Mac tonight. As I said, it is not E3 season, which means we don't really have a week or 4 days of 4 or 5 days of E3 coverage from the show floor, and then everybody digests. It's now a month plus of stuff. We started really before we even got out of May, late May, it started. There's going to be stuff all throughout June. We know Nintendo's doing a Nintendo Direct in June, but we don't know when in June because they haven't announced it yet. So place your bets now. But things, I would say, mostly officially started yesterday. There were some events yesterday. Today was like what many would consider to be the actual kickoff of Not-E3 E3, which, by the way, it needs a better name than that, but that's all I can think of. With Summer Game Fest hosted by Jeff Keighley, the Dorito Pope, that aired 5 to 7 East Coast time, followed by the Day of the Devs presentation, which was another hour. So Summer Game Fest was 2 hours. Day of the Devs was an hour. And then Devolver Digital did roughly a half hour. I think it was more like 21 minutes or something. All those were in a row. Tomorrow, a whole bunch of other things are happening, including Wholesome Games, which will have a ton of Switch-related things. I can tell you, hi, 10 Division. Hi, Darmani. I know what's happening. The whole podcast crew hates me, and we've split up, and my show is just solo from now on. No, that's not it. Busy schedule, what Not-E3, E3, which is what I'm getting into. Um, I can tell you what else is going on this weekend. This show's going to be, completely a mess. So I apologize, but I'll try and make it interesting at the very least. Um, I can tell you exactly what's going on with presentations and all that this weekend because the wonderful. Let me make sure I give you the Cheesemeister 3K on Twitter or X. I apologize. Cheesemeister 3K every year does an extremely helpful uh, color coded breakdown of all the press conferences that are announced. And when new ones are announced, he adds them in and does an updated table. It's so helpful for me, someone who covers this stuff for a living. It's so helpful to have that to be like, okay, this is this time, this is that time, this is that time. Obviously, as a fan, you can look at the table and see like, oh, these are the shows I want to see. I can make sure I'm available then. He's got it pinned to the top of his X profile, so you can go read it there. But tomorrow, meaning Saturday. So if you're listening to this, uh, very early Saturday, probably not. This is for the 8th. We have the Future of Play Direct at 8, 9, 10, 11 in the morning, East Coast, followed by Wholesome Games at noon, followed by Latin American Games at 1, followed by women-led games at 2:30, followed by the Future Games Show at 3. So I'd say the biggest ones tomorrow, not to knock anybody, I just mean biggest in terms of coverage and content and time, will be Wholesome Games and Future Games Show. If I remember, Future Games Show is usually like right around the 2-hour mark. Wholesome Games will probably be an hour. But Wholesome Games will be like jam-packed with stuff. There's definitely going to be Switch things there. Tell you the truth, there's more Switch stuff today than I expected. We'll get into some of it. So a lot to do tomorrow. And then Sunday is Microsoft's presentation at East Coast time 1. 1, yes, just making sure. And the PC gaming show at 4. And again, even though that's a Microsoft show and a PC show, they both end up showing games that are coming to Switch. So they got to be watched and they got to be covered. As a gaming fan, I'm interested. As someone who has to cover it, I'm very not excited, as I've expressed many times in the past. And the PC gaming show is usually like it's like an ungodly 3+ hours, and it's just, if I'm being honest, it's soul sucking. Um, but it is what it is. It has to be done. Monday is Ubisoft at 3 p.m. And that's all for Monday right now. Why can't I see what this is? There's one that I can't see because they're stupid. Dames for Games is on June 12th. That is at 2 p.m. So we still, again, we don't know when the Nintendo Direct is. I believe, I know Yacht Club announced something, but I don't remember the date. I want to say the 14th, but that's going to be a 20-minute Yacht Club thing. I'm sure we'll hear about something Shovel Knight, hopefully an update on Mina the Hollower, blah, blah, blah. But yes, it is not E3 season, so I am covering it all. Hence the podcast at 11:30 at night on Friday night. Man, that song "Working for the Weekend." I'm working on the weekend. I'm not the only person to have ever worked on the weekend. I'm not making it like a woe is me thing, but I will say I do love the weekend because it's calm and I get to relax, but not this weekend. But it is what it is. So thank you to those of you who are joining me here now live. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to do a show. We're going to see how it goes. It's probably going to be shorter than usual, even though I haven't even been talking for 10 minutes. Jeez. Probably going to be shorter than usual, but we'll make it work. Young says, I never get in the pod chat. This is special for me. Well, it's special to have you here. Video Game Guru is here. Thanks for joining us, Video Game Guru. Yacht Club. Thank you, Gecko Kitsune. The 14th at 2:30 East Coast time, 2:30 p.m. So that's not a big deal to cover, and I'm personally excited for that. I'm a big fan of Yacht Club. But anyway, we have other things to talk about before we get into our top stories. There really weren't many top stories this week because, um, you know, we've been moving towards this. We've been moving towards the end of the week. So we'll cover those, and I'm going to talk a bit about the conferences today and some of the stuff shown. I want to, like I said, I want to talk about something before we get into. Oh, I should mute my phone before we get into um, the meat and potatoes of everything. Only have one thing, then I'll do the Patreon stuff. The one thing is, I don't know how many of you heard this story, but boy, do I think it's great. I'm going to be reading from an article over on Siliconera. A Taiwanese otaku who helped to stop a knife attack on the metro has said that he did so because Himmel from Frieren Beyond Journey's End would have done the same thing. He's hoping that his heroic act will help improve the public's perception of otaku in Taiwan. On May 21st, a Taiwanese man stabbed several passengers in a knife attack on a train. He managed to injure 3 people before over 17 civilians stopped him. One of the civilians was Rujian Zhu. He went out of his way to wear a Monster Hunter shirt when he accepted his award for stopping this attacker. And he made a point to say that otaku aren't all that bad. So I guess, a lot of people view otaku as bad, but he's saying, see, we're not all that bad. And he went on to say, quote, if Himmel was there, he would have done the same thing. That Himmel's a character from Frieren. Like I said, if you've listened to the podcast, I love Frieren. One of my favorite anime of all time. I started buying the manga so I can continue. Of course, I start buying the manga, and then the mangaka is like, I'm going on hiatus. Who knows until when? But that's the way that stuff goes for me. But anyway, it's so great because I find Frieren to be so endearing and meaningful, and like teaching me lessons and making me think about things in ways that I haven't before. And now we got somebody who literally stopped someone from a stabbing spree on a train and accepts an award for it and says, well, it's because of Frieren. I did it because that's what Himmel the hero would have done. The man also said if he could go back in time to the attack, he wouldn't change a thing. So he'd just stop the guy every single time. So that's great. And I don't care. Hi, SD. Good to see you. I don't care what your motivation is because you stepped in and did something good. But obviously, personally, I'm a little tickled that he went and quoted Frieren as a reason for why he did what he did. Hi, Super Sanchez. Hi, 8-Bit Lego. Um, Man, I love that. Hello, RLM. Man, I didn't expect so many regulars to come in here so late at night, but thanks for joining me. If you're wondering why I'm here doing it now, you can rewind to the first 10 minutes of the podcast and you'll hear. So that's awesome. That's really cool to hear. I was talking about this with Mom Brain and Do, and I was saying I've actually had dreams before where someone was causing trouble. Like someone was stealing something or there was an attacker trying to hurt people. And in the dream, I would stop them with either like a wrestling move or some move from an anime or a video game. And then I imagined like going on a press tour in the dream. I would see myself going on a press tour and being like, well, I stopped him with a pedigree, and that's Triple H's move. And, I know they say don't do it at home, but here it stops. I've had this dream so many times. I think it's because, again, longtime listeners of the show know I always like to stick up for the things that I'm into, especially when I feel they're seen in a bad light. And the things that I traditionally liked when I was growing up was almost always seen in a bad light, but not so much anymore. That's awesome. So, that's why still to this day I have that kind of dream where I'm saving the day in some way using a wrestling move. It's more often than not a wrestling move, but I've done stuff from video games too. So it's my subconscious speaking to me. Hello, Tater Tot. I saw you were chatting, or I saw you in the chat before I even said when the show was going to be. So thanks for joining. So yes, thought that story was cool. sad to hear people were injured, obviously, but at least the attacker was stopped by 17 good Samaritans, including one Frieren fan slash Monster Hunter fan. We also have the Patreon, non-existent Mom Brain. Did you know that you can join Patreon for $1? That's right, Mom Brain, for $1. Our soundboard is on this iPad, and I forgot to charge it because I was doing other things today. So no soundboard, just me. Yes, you can join the Patreon for $1. What did we talk about on Patreon this week? Let me tell you, it's going to be one shorter than normal, not specifically because it's Friday, but because one of the posts I did for my daily post was asking people for the next round of podcast questions, and there's already over 20 in there. So thank you very much to everybody. What I talk about on Patreon this week, I talked about the fun of being in the know. And what do I mean about that? I don't mean like, haha, I know something you don't. I mean like just being in on something that people like are excited about and appreciate and get hyped about. And in the article in the post in particular, I talked about uh, Jesus, Doctor Who. Sorry, it's been a long day, and how I'm just started watching the newest season of Doctor Who. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I haven't thought I haven't been all that wowed by this season. And as a matter of fact, I thought most of the episodes weren't good in my opinion. The last two that I watched, I really liked, and then the one last week I thought was pretty good. I've heard good things about the episode that came out today. I haven't had time to watch. My plan is I watch things on the treadmill, as I always say. Usually I would be talking about it on the podcast tomorrow. But I haven't watched the show yet. After the podcast, I'm going to do another round of work, I believe. And then I'm going to go on the treadmill and walk. So I'm going to watch it then. So you have to wait until next week for me to share my opinions on this episode. But fingers crossed that I also hope it's a good one. But yeah, I just like finally being in the know with this stuff. And even if like Doctor Who has been like a very hit and miss for me, it's still fun to be a part of it because it's something, I've seen and heard about and experienced as far as fandom goes for decades now. And now I'm in on it. And it's just cool to be a part of it. Like it's cool to be able to share my opinions, even if I don't end up liking the thing. I like being able to talk about it because I just feel like it's fun to be in on that stuff. That's exactly how I got to uh, watching the MCU movies. I got in like, 18 movies late, but I got in and because I felt like I was missing out on something huge as far as pop culture goes. And that opened the door to me for reading comic books in general. Now I'm a huge comic fan. That changed my life forever. So, for the better in every way, shape, or form. And, Doctor Who hasn't reached that heights for me, but it's fun to be a part of that stuff. I'm really into that. So I wrote about that feeling overall. I also talked about Vinland Saga. I'm almost always watching some sort of anime when I'm on the treadmill. I watch regular shows. By that I mean like traditional live action shows. Um, like I watch, I was watching Shogun when that was airing every week, and I watch Dark Matter right now, which is meh, but I'm watching whatever shows I'm watching. They only come, if there's shows that are airing now, they only come out one episode a week. So what am I watching in between? Usually an anime, and I started Vinland Saga, an anime that I've heard wonderful things about. I knew next to nothing about it, and that was purposefully. I wanted to go into it with a clean slate. So I'm up to episode, I want to say like 18 now. What a great anime. Just like it's very Game of Thrones esque, but with an anime spin to it. Some anime tropes in there. Thankfully, so far, not fan service, but um, very interesting characters, very emotional stories, very heart wrenching story beats, lots of philosophical things to think about, fun action. It's just good. It's a really, really good anime. And you can add it to the list. I've been watching so much. It's so great to find. Oh, I went back in the chat. So much. It's so great. I've been such a fan of anime in general for decades and decades, but now thanks to walking on the treadmill every day, I have at least an hour where I'm going to watch some sort of anime. So I'm much, much more like up to date with what's going on in anime. and it's cool to be a part of that too. Um, so yeah, I'm really liking Vinland Saga. I'm watching the first season on Netflix because that's where they have the dub. My understanding is the second season is on Crunchyroll and it's dubbed there, but it's a different cast, so that's going to be an interesting experience. But hi, Blood Ocean, good to see you. But yeah, Vinland Saga is a lot of fun. I would say if you're into Game of Thrones or you're into the kind of ideas that you have heard are in Game of Thrones, so that kind of setting, um, uh, historical and political intrigue and drama, and tales of revenge and love and heroism and family and all that. I think you'll like it. I talked about Mega Man. Ay, ay, ay. So earlier in the week, Nintendo released Mega Man. The Game Boy games, or Game Boy releases Mega Man 1 through 5 on a Switch Online library. And that's awesome because I don't think I've played the fourth or the fifth. I might have played the fourth, but I know for sure I haven't played the fifth. So I got a new quote unquote Mega Man game to play, and I'm a huge Mega Man fan. So the day before that happened, um, I wrote this post and I was like, Capcom was sending out not invites, but like care packages to some members of the press saying, like, hey, tune in for the video game or tune in for Summer Game Fest because we're gonna have some things to talk about there. And I was like, oh, will you please talk about Mega Man there? Because it's been so long and I just want a new Mega Man. And then the next day, Nintendo was like, here's 5 Game Boy Mega Man games. And as I said in the post, in my conspiracy theory brain, I'm like, they're re-releasing these old Mega Man games. It's got to be because they're gonna talk about Mega Man at Summer Game Fest. I was like, oh, I didn't officially think that, but there was more of a glimmer of hope. Now having Summer Game Fest behind us, we know that wasn't the case, unfortunately. But I was like, oh, man, could it happen? And I was like talking about the prayer circle for Mega Man and how Mega Man 11 is the best-selling Mega Man game as far as mainline entries go. And they announced not even a year after Mega Man 11, that they were working on the next Mega Man game. And here we are in 2024, and that game came out in 2018, and we're still waiting. So I don't know what's going on. Disappointing as a Mega Man fan. We get compilations and like mobile games that are of lackluster quality. So it was just disappointing. I haven't given up all hope yet for a new Mega Man game to be showcased sometime this month. Nintendo and Capcom have a great relationship. I would argue that most Mega Man fans are Nintendo fans versus Xbox or PlayStation fans being Mega Man fans. So perhaps if we're extra lucky during a Nintendo Direct, we could see a Mega Man reveal. That would be wonderful. I think that's a little bit too pie in the sky, but I would love to be wrong about that. We'll find out sometime this month. But yeah, it's been outside of compilations, which aren't my thing. It's been tough going to be a Mega Man fan. So my Patreon prayer circle for Mega Man at Summer Game Fest didn't work out. Speaking of Summer Game Fest, I talked about how long game showcases are and how long is too long. How long is your sweet spot? Like how long is too long? Because again, oh hello there, Piper's here. Um, cat meows, and I lost my train of thought. Devolver, yes, I know. Devolver Digital did their showcase today, and oh wow, right on the table. Devolver Digital always does a shorter presentation, but they're always supremely entertaining and very interesting and just fun and silly and weird. But they cram all that in between 20 and 30 minutes, and that's exactly what we got today. Again, the Devolver Digital presentation this year, another fantastic one. Absolutely loved it. I couldn't have asked for more. Lovely presentation, updates on games we knew about, reveals of new games. But to tell you the truth, the stuff that Devolver does, like the stories they're telling, if you want to call it that, or the setup, is just as entertaining for me. I absolutely love what they do. So that was great. And then you have something like Summer Game Fest, which is 2 hours long. As I said, the PC Games Show, it's over 3 hours. I know it has been in the past for a fact. I believe last year was over 3 hours. Like, to me, that's insanity. That I don't care how long or how much you're into games. Like, there's got to be a very small portion of gamers who are like, I'm gonna watch all 3 hours and I'm gonna be just as excited from start to finish. Like, I would imagine. Well, we talked about it on Patreon. I was like, what's the sweet spot? And a lot of people were feeling like hour to hour and a half is basically what people were saying. And even there was, more pushback on like hour and a half. They're like, hour and a half is doable, but an hour, like that's the sweet spot, an hour. Nintendo when they do their directs, they're like 40 plus minutes, 40, 50, somewhere in there. And I feel, of course, I'm going to sound like a Nintendo fanboy, but I feel like that's a really good amount of time to cover stuff because Nintendo keeps a good cadence during their directs. It's like, you'll get a couple segments that take 2 or 3 minutes to showcase a game. Or like maybe even just 2 minutes flat to showcase a game, and then they'll do sizzle reels where you'll get like 4 or 5 games throughout a 2 minute like quick video, and they bounce back and forth between those things. I like that, and then you got your 40 minutes, and then that's it. There's still plenty of time to cover stuff, plenty of things to talk about. That feels good for me. I don't mind an hour presentation. I'm hearing that Microsoft's presentation is going to be close to 2 hours, if not 2 hours. It's long, and when you get to those 2 hour marks, you're not getting like game after game after game. You're getting like, here's this game, now let's do a 10-minute run through of a level. And that's not what I personally want. Seems like a lot of people feel the same way. A lot of people in the comments on Patreon were mentioning that's why the Treehouse Live stuff is so good, because you get your direct and it's like a shotgun blast of all the things that are happening. And then if you want to see more of some of those games, you tune into the Treehouse Live segments because that gets you 10, 15, 20 minutes of gameplay and discussion with specific games. Great way to handle it, in my opinion. But putting that stuff into like the showcase itself, doesn't do it for me. Tell you the truth, today's Summer Game Fest, although I still feel 2 hours was too long, I thought it had a nice flow to it. There were a couple parts where I was like feeling it a bit, but nothing horrible, and I feel like things flowed well. So as far as how it went and the cadence of it, this Summer Game Fest I felt was one of the better ones. As far as games that were shown, that's going to differ from person to person every year. I personally saw a lot of things that I liked. One game in particular that I wish I could remember the name of. I'll look it up in a second, but uh, there was a good amount of cool stuff in there, updates on games that we've already heard about, but a lot of stuff that I was interested in. So I like that. So as far as presentations go, give me an hour. 10 minutes plus or minus an hour. I'll take that. That's where I'm at. Um, and then finally, I talked about gaming tropes, things that are in games that you love no matter how many times you see them. I said that usually when you hear about tropes, it's used in a negative connotation, but I was using it in a positive connotation. Just mechanics or gameplay loops that have been in games countless times, but every time you come across it, you're like, this is for me. I can't get enough. Some examples I said for me were like Mega Man games when it comes to Robot Masters. 8 stages, get the boss's abilities, go to the next, and, go to a castle, eventually fight the bosses again, and then fight the final boss at the end. I love that. Give me every game Mega Man that way. Doesn't matter to me because the fun is in the stage designs and the enemy layouts and the weapons that you get. Like I just love that style. I love that approach. I said any game with a grappling hook mechanic. I love grappling hooks. Doesn't matter if it's 2D or 3D, just something about swinging around. I love it. Like, obviously, not in Super Castlevania 4, or there's no grappling hook in Super Castlevania 4, but it's got, swing on the whip thing, and that counts. That works for me. I don't know why I love that so much. It really does it for me. I talked about another trope I love being when games give you a set number of things to collect, and it mostly applies to Legend of Zelda games, although it happens in other games, at least classic Legend of Zelda games, where it's like, you got to go get these 7 gems, or you got to go get these instruments. And I just love knowing, like, clearly there's something with me in numbers because I get 8 Robot Masters or 7 gems, like in A Link to the Past or whatever. But like, just knowing, like, the grandiose scale of the adventure that lies ahead of you. There's just, I don't know, something about that loop. I just absolutely love it. So, thanks for stopping in, SD. Have a good weekend, my friend. So that's what I wrote about on Patreon. Let me go look up that one game that I wanted to talk about. It's not surprising if you know me, and some of you listen to the podcast enough to know at least my gaming tastes very well. Um, I love Annapurna Interactive, and they showcased a new game called Wander Stop today. And this is coming from they're obviously Annapurna is the publisher, but it's made by the creator of the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide, and it looks like it is a like cozy like resource management simulation game where you're making tea for customers. And again, if you know, but you know, I don't like management games at all like that. I don't really play that genre at all. It's not my cup of tea. But I was watching this and just something in the trailer from the beginning. I was like, something's going on here. Um, I don't want to spoil what's in the trailer. I think you should check it out for yourself. But again, if you're not again, but if you're familiar with the creator of the Stanley Parable, you know he's known for making things that don't exactly follow the beaten path, or at least they take unique twists or offer unique approaches to some ideas that we may have seen before. So, not surprisingly, that's what this trailer very much hints at. And the trailer literally gave me goosebumps as I was watching it. I was like, this looks fantastic. It's coming out this year. Sadly, it doesn't say it's coming to Switch. It says PS5 and Steam. Hopefully, Switch's successor at some point. But 2024, those platforms, I will be getting it in one of those places because, man, the trailer really did it for me. But there were a whole bunch of trailers for things that I liked today. It's great to see more of Neva, the game from the team that made Grease, Nomada Studio. While not confirmed for Switch yet, I'm talking about a different game. Um, they announced like an old school beat 'em up pixel style that's Power Rangers, and it looks awesome. Not officially announced for Switch yet, but it's definitely coming to Switch. It's developed by Digital Eclipse, and they always say like PC and consoles, but it's coming to Switch. So, um, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I watched today that I liked. Most of it coming from indie developers. Um, Tell you the truth, I I always enjoy the Day of the Devs presentations because they're slower paced. You get some well-produced video segments. You see gameplay and hear from the teams that are making these games and why they're so into them. Um, it's I love that stuff. I just love God, why can't I think of the name of the studio? The Psychonauts Double Fine. Double Fine is behind Day of the Devs, and they do, in my opinion, such an amazing. Hi, Rick Fillet, good to see you. Such an amazing job with those showcases, and that's about 50 minutes, and they usually end with an awesome music segment, and they did again this time. They did it with Cocoon, the team that did Cocoon. They did a really cool visual audio experience to end the show. And I know some people are going to watch that and be like, I don't care about this. Show me the games. And I get it. But man, do I really like it. They always do some really cool stuff there. So I would suggest if you didn't watch Day of the Devs this year. Some really awesome stuff in there coming from some really cool teams. Hi, Colma. Good to see you. And again, as I said, Devolver Digital killed it. A really funny, strange, weird presentation, which is exactly what I expect from them and want from them. I laughed. I was uncomfortable in the best way possible, and they showed some great looking games. So check those out. But we got more to come this weekend. Hopefully, whatever pops up this weekend tickles your fancy. There should be plenty to choose from, especially tomorrow morning. Today we got some surprises for Switch, to tell you the truth. That's right, Gecko Kitsune. Happy birthday, Volvi. Um, this stuff, some of this stuff was announced just today, so it's not as ingrained in my brain because my brain is fried. But uh, there was a rumored Horizon game that was supposedly going to be Lego, and that turned out to be true. And most shocking of all, it was announced for Switch, so it's going to PS5. I don't know about PS4, don't remember, but it was announced for Switch. It was the first game that was shown at this at Summer Game Fest, so it was a big deal. But I really did not expect it to get announced for Switch. Xbox was not in there, so it's just PS5 and Switch from what I remember. I think PC too, but I was shocked. I was just, the trailer started and I saw that it was Lego and I was like, oh, better pay attention because I might have to cover this. And then I saw Aloy and I was like, oh, never mind. This is that rumored thing. I can just kick back for a couple minutes, but I was wrong because, the trailer ended and it said Switch and I was like, oh my God, I got to cover this. I wasn't expecting this. So that was cool and surprising in a good way. Another great surprise was Civilization 7. So we know Civ 6 had, from last check-in, very good success on the Switch. It ended up doing better than 2K expected it to. So I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. But Civilization 7 was announced for Switch. We're getting the next Civ game, which I don't personally play Civ, but that's a that's a great get for the system. And it's one more bit of evidence to show how much life the Switch still has in it at this point in its lifespan. That's crazy. And I don't play Civ, but I heard the Switch version of Civ 6 was very comparable is not the word I'm looking. Competent, very competent. So you could play it on Switch and enjoy it. It wasn't a lackluster port. So hopefully the same thing goes for Civ 7 whenever that comes out. It's going to be 2025 sometime, but Blumhouse, sorry, announced a whole bunch of titles, but they only confirmed one. They only confirmed platforms for one, but we're one for one. Fear the Spotlight is coming to Switch. It's a horror game. Obviously, all the Blumhouse games are going to be horror games, but it's a horror game with the PS1 aesthetic, and it was confirmed for Switch. I'm looking at the post now. They don't have a release date, but I'm down for that style game, and I love survival horror in general. So that was really cool to see. What else did we get new? PM Studios announced they had a couple games that we knew existed but didn't know were coming to Switch, so we're getting those. Zoe Begone and Extremely Powerful Capybaras are both coming to the Switch. And blah 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 blah. So it was a busy day. Another busy day ahead tomorrow. I want to say a huge thanks to the GoNintendo news team because it's not just me covering these things. I was covering the stuff today. So if you saw, everything from Summer Game Fest to Devolver was all me. But yesterday we had multiple staffers covering events, and I'll be covering some tomorrow, and another staffer will be covering others tomorrow. So a huge, huge, huge thanks to the news team because they're in there in the virtual trenches covering this stuff for you guys and lightening the load for me, which is extremely, extremely helpful. So they did an amazing job yesterday. I have no doubt they'll do an amazing job tomorrow. I'm very happy. Couldn't be more happy with what they did. So thanks to them. They're working their butts off. All right. That's that. Sorry, I would love to be more in the Discord with you guys while this is going on. I'm trying to bounce back and forth. I just don't see this. What happens? I jump in there now, and I'm like, I get sidetracked and I get stun locked like I just did 2 times in a row there. Rick Fillet says, I work today, so I haven't really had a chance to fully absorb all the announcements. I saw the Lego Horizon game and just assumed it was a PlayStation exclusive, right? Most people would think that. I would think that too, but it's a different era, my friend. We're moving into a different era where Microsoft's really going third party. PlayStation is doing more with PC, but it just doesn't make sense to make a Lego game in that style and not have it on Switch, because the bulk of the people who are going to be interested in Lego and that kind of game, it's like any other Lego game that's come out over the years. Lego Harry Potter, Lego Marvel, Lego DC, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Jurassic Park. It's in that style of game. So you would not put that game out and not put it on Switch. Like, I would imagine there are going to be a decent amount of PlayStation owners who will get that game, but I also believe there's going to be way more who are going to be like, "That's not for me." Uh, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to be negative or do my impression of the people I think who are going to shoot that game down. I just imagine more Switch people would be interested in that kind of experience than PS5 people. But obviously, if you're doing a Horizon game, even if it is a spin-off, even if it is a Lego game, you got to put it out on PlayStation because that's where you're growing that brand. But why not bring it to Switch as well? Get the Lego audience, get that audience that likes that kind of game, and expand the reach of the brand and make some more money. So that's what they're doing. So interesting times ahead, like Microsoft is trying to find their way. Sony's branching out a little bit more. And I know Sony's like, this is the most profitable generation for us, ever. But people who are in the know, like they say that because it's a good headline and a good PR statement, but they're not being really forthcoming about how they're getting to that number. It's because 45% of people are still on PS4 and they're spending a lot of time and money there, and the rest of the people are on PS5 and they're spending more time and more money there too. But the adoption rate of the system, although a few percentage points ahead in the United States specifically, it's behind worldwide. So it's not selling like PS4 was. So, and game budgets are exploding and blah, 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 blah. These companies are looking like, how can we keep making money like we have in the past? And something like Lego Horizon Adventures, if that's the name, I believe, happens, and you see it come to a system you wouldn't expect. And then there's Nintendo, who's like, we do things differently. Work's going great. We just hired 400 people, and we're making money hand over fist. So, Microsoft and Sony got to be like, oh, it's happened plenty of times in the past where they're like, there's Nintendo doing their own weird thing again, and it seems to be really working for them. Let's try and do what they're doing. I can't imagine Nintendo looking at what Microsoft and Sony are doing and being like, yes, let us bring our games to other systems, because that's not very Nintendo. I know that some people will know that there's a rumor floating around out there about Nintendo titles, some Nintendo experiences making their way to PC. I don't trust the source of the rumor. I would personally be shocked if that happened, but I'm not going to say it wouldn't happen. I would really be shocked if it happened. Shocked and surprised. I'm not saying I think it's a bad move. I'm just saying I think it's a very un-Nintendo move if that were to ever happen. Again, just speculation. All right. Or just a rumor right now, but not from like the sources where you'd be like, oh, there's something to this. All right. Let me take a sip of water and then we'll get to news. Finally, there you go. Don't even need the soundboard. What's our first top story? Somebody at Google was being a bad employee. So Nintendo suffers leaks all the time, just as any game company does. But if you remember any Nintendo leaks from 2013 to 2018, seems that a Google employee was behind at least some of them, although apparently inadvertently. A Google employee had access to Nintendo's YouTube account, and Nintendo, when they're going to announce things, say like for the Nintendo Direct coming up, they get things in order ahead of time, because obviously you would do that. You're not going to try and tackle it on the fly. So they do a Direct and they upload, maybe they upload the direct privately, or the individual trailers privately, and they're set to go live at a certain time. YouTube/Google employees have access to some of that stuff. At least some of them do. And someone had access to Nintendo's private videos, and they leaked the information. We don't have details on what exactly they leaked, but they leaked information that wasn't meant to be consumed by the public yet. And Google says that they deemed the leaks as, quote, non-intentional, end quote. So do I believe that? I don't know. Let's say I don't believe that, but let's say yes. Like, What would be non-intentional? Like somebody accidentally, a Google employee talking about something openly online because they think everybody already knows about it, and then being like, "Oh my god, I didn't know. I thought everybody knew about this game." Seems weird, right? Because like, why would you be sharing that information at all if you didn't already have some knowledge or interest in Nintendo? And then you'd probably know, oh, this wasn't announced yet. But I don't know. Google says it was non-intentional. Whether Nintendo agreed to that or even had a say in anything of it, I don't know. But now we know who's behind at least some of the leaks, and other leakers who are popular now have come out to say, I do not get my information from YouTube privated videos. So they have people who are in the know, probably within Nintendo at somewhere, probably Nintendo of America, if I had to guess, or at least Nintendo of Europe, that they're getting this information from. But they want to be clear they're not getting it from YouTube uploads. Martin Stuff says non-intentional. Some people fart only to wind up crapping their pants. That's a definition of non-intention. Google. It's a very funny way and correct way of talking about it. So yeah, I don't know how exactly that works, but it led to plenty of situations. Man, 2013 to 2018, 5 years of leaks while that was going on. Uh, somebody else was asleep at the wheel there to not squash that sooner. I'm sure Nintendo was like, "What is going on here? Well, how can we not figure out who's doing all this stuff?" And I guess if it was an employee that didn't know they were doing anything wrong, it would be harder to catch them. We also have something from the late great Satoru Iwata. There's been a lot of stuff popping up from him recently because a an interview from 20 years ago had resurfaced. Not even resurfaced; it was shared for the first time. There was little snippets that came out back in the day, but it was like a 30-minute video that made its way online, and then everybody else started going through what they had from back in the day with Iwata to see if they had anything that was never published. And we get other tidbits from the man who left us some time ago, and a lot of it has been can't think of words anymore. Uh, a lot I can't think of words. A lot of it applies to the industry today. Prophetic, and they people are like, wow, Iwata was saying this stuff 20 years ago about his worries about where the game industry was going to go and how Nintendo was going to try and avoid that. And it seems Nintendo is doing that, and the other companies are going in that direction, if not already there. So they're like, man, this guy knew what he was talking about. And so now we're seeing more quotes and analysis of what's going on and just interesting stuff. So, games industry Japan shared a little tidbit that we haven't heard from Iwata before, or hadn't heard from Iwata before we did now. Is him talking about games and praise from audiences or critics or whatever. And he says, long story short, praise isn't all it's cracked up to be. He says, quote, things that are praised don't sell. It's the things that are criticized that sell. It is best to earn a divided response. Um, it's not like Iwata's the first to ever have that idea, obviously, and to share some kind of statement like that. Um, we the phrase "all publicity is good publicity" has been out forever. As long as people are talking about what you're doing, be it good, bad, indifferent, people are talking about it. So yeah, if something is think about how many times you've seen games that are like praised to the high heavens, but they just don't sell. They may be critical darlings, but they fail when it comes to game sales. Like that happens all the time, and then they become hidden gems, and it's disappointing because the games were fantastic. Usually, games that sell huge amounts and are critically praised or fan praised are from already existing franchises. So, like Legend of Zelda doesn't count here, or Assassin's Creed or Resident Evil. That doesn't count, obviously. Those games built up their brands over the years and have big names, so big sales come with them for the most part. They really have to fall off the map in order to bring sales considerably lower. But yeah, certainly word of mouth helps, and there are games that get praise and a lot of praise and do break through, but those games are like the, they aren't the norm. Like for every Dave the Diver or Balatro, there's so many other games that are like massively praised in one way or another, but they just never reach the sales that many feel they deserve. I've been for the last 3 weeks now. I've been um, saying all I can about 1000 Resist because I'm not. Again, you guys know I could talk about it forever. I won't do that to you. It's potentially my favorite game of all time, at least in a discussion. And the more I think about it, the more I come to a spot where I can say this is my favorite game I've ever played. So uh, I've talked about how much I love the game and why I love the game, but I also have talked about how disappointed I am because I know it's not going to sell well because of the style, the genre, the developers. It's the developers' first game. Like, they don't have the marketing budget, blah, blah, all that stuff. Word of mouth is spreading. Things are happening. IGN just reviewed the game and they gave it a 9 out of 10. So IGN talking about any game is great, gets the word out there. Obviously, I think this game deserves the world. I think it deserves to be enjoyed by millions. I know plenty of you guys have reached out to me through email and Patreon and on social media to tell me you've picked up the game based on my recommendation. And thank you for trusting me. I really appreciate that because you're spending your hard-earned dollars on my suggestion. But everybody that has talked to me about it has said like they are enjoying it as much as I have. So that's great. I couldn't ask for more. Thank you for sending those stories my way. I've gotten family members and friends to try it out as well. My two of my cousins are playing through it right now. I think my mom got it last night. Um, I'm spreading the word however I can, but that's one of those games, yeah, where high praise, like the review average is way up there, and the praise from fans and critics alike is incredibly high. But it's just not. We don't have hard sales data, but when games sell, the sales figures get trumpeted by the developer, or things come out, and we haven't heard anything like that. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, something does come out, and we could be like the game hit this milestone or that milestone. That'd be great. But you don't hear about it because it's probably not happening. It breaks my heart. But like Iwata says, if you have universal praise, it can not turn into the sales expectation, or it could not turn into the sales you might expect. So when you get something that just gets people talking, certainly praise as well, but a divided response, as he says. So a whole bunch of opinions in there gets people talking more because they're like, I think this game is this, and other people are like, I think this game is this, and your opinion is bad because, or your opinion is good because. That's just chatter, and it raises the game's profile. More people are talking about it. So I can see what he's saying. Again, not an idea exclusive or new to Iwata, but a very important thing to keep in mind. PT left a comment and said, all press is good press. See, just what I said. There is a great logic in this. If a game is universally praised, it may actually get buried under the hype to those who aren't already fans. If it's panned, no one will want to play it. If it's somewhere in the middle, it's likely to stir up more debate. I'm likely to see a movie with mixed reviews since I want to make the judgment myself. It almost always adds a layer of mystique. And layer of mystique is a great way of saying that. Very, very well said, PT. Yeah, if you hear things are mixed, you start thinking, well, how would I feel about it? You might watch a trailer for a game or a movie, and you're like, oh, why is everybody feeling this way? Like, I want to put in my 2 cents. I want to see where I come out. And you're probably thinking, hopefully, I'm gonna come out on the end that really likes the thing. But yeah, when you hear divisive comments, you're like, oh, well, why is that? Why are people doing that? Like, now I'm extra nosy. I want to see what's going on. So very well said, PT. Much more elegantly said than I did, that's for sure. Let me pop in Discord and say, hello, Backseat Studios. Hello, Roth. Hello, Casey. Good to see you guys popping in here just to say hello. I need a second screen. I know I have this iPad here, but it's a million years old. I don't think I could use Discord on it. Um, Darmani says, resist. What kind of game is it? 1000 resist. It's written the number 1000 in X and then resist. It's a narrative adventure, visual novel, walking simulator. If you're familiar with Life is Strange, I would say it operates mechanically like that game. You make decisions, you control a character and walk around, but the adventure is story based. There's no like fighting or gunplay or, platforming or anything like that. There's some teleportation segments where you're zipping from point to point and you have to actually aim and connect to it. But by and large, it's a 10, 15-hour experience where the vast, over 95% of it is story. So there you go. That's what it is. Darmani, I wrote a review if you'd like to check it out. I'm going to spare everyone because I could talk about this forever. I've actually been very lucky to talk to one of the developers on social media. I've talked to him a few times, and I'm desperately trying to keep it professional while also fanboying about the game, but trying to rein it in. We're going to be doing an interview with them. I have Google Doc full of questions, and I just have to decide which ones I can send over that aren't too embarrassing for them because they've made such an interesting piece of art to me that I don't want to waste their time with my garbage questions. So, I'm having an internal struggle right now. But yes, it's been thank you to you guys watching this podcast and those of you who come to the site and support the Patreon because I wouldn't get the opportunities that I have without you guys offering your support. So thank you very much. I will always recognize that and always appreciate it. All right, we don't need to do that. We have a patent from Nintendo about another sleep related app. Pokemon Sleep is out right now, but we got an app from Nintendo that shows Mario sleeping in bed. It says result of using a random date, March 3rd. It says good morning, and it shows a Mario icon with 80 next to it. It says advice, you slept well last night. Have sufficient sleep. So Mario thinks you slept sufficiently. Um, According to the patent, this is for, quote, calculating health information relating to sleep and or fatigue of the user, end quote. You get to see Mario waking up in bed. Bowser's in there too, and Bowser's giving Mario 80 points of damage, but you get 10 coins as well. It seems to have some sort of adventure game component to it. So Nintendo loves their expanded audience stuff and their unique experiments, and this seems very in Nintendo's wheelhouse because it's so out of everybody else's wheelhouse. As I say with every Nintendo patent, just because the patent exists and is published does not mean that this game or app or whatever you want to call it will ever actually see release. But I don't know about you. I sleep every day, even though I don't want to. So and I'm a Nintendo fan, so you put those two things together, I'll sleep using a Mario app to fight Bowser. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm down for it. I'm always down for Nintendo's off the wall experiments. And Pokemon Sleep reached millions of users. I don't know how well it's doing now, but I have no doubt a Mario app about sleep could reach some people as well. And I would guess it would be free too. But we'll find out if this ever becomes reality or just another patent that never gets turned into an actual product, like the Rocking Horse Wii inflatable controller. Patent that Nintendo did and all the Wii controllers that they never went with, like the giant star button and stuff like that. Martin Stuff says, if this gives you Super Mario Brothers 2 themed dreams, then I'd be up for it. When I saw the images, that is exactly what I thought of. That image of all. I don't know why. There's plenty of Nintendo games that are forever stuck in my brain, but the image of Mario in the bed with the sleeping cap on at the end of Super Mario Brothers 2 just sticks with me. There was something about that ending and the song that just felt like so nice. And then just seeing like Mario sleeping there, and that's how the game ends. Like, I don't think I'm wrong. When you play that game and like you get to that part and it ends, like Mario will be sleeping in the bed, just breathing in and out, sleeping, and like the screen stays there forever. You could just leave that on and it's never going to go back to the title or anything like that. And I just remember like watching that. I don't know. It gave me like the warm fuzzies. So that moment always sticks with me. So yes, we'll see. He better be wearing the same damn clothes if he's in this. If this app comes out, he needs that blue and white striped pajama outfit. Europe's Switch Online free game trial was announced. Their next free game trial. I don't know why America was left out of it this time, but we are. Maybe they'll announce it later. And this reveal led to considerable speculation. The latest European Switch Online free game trial is none other than Hollow Knight. So Hollow Knight came out years ago. Everybody's clamoring for the sequel and have been for quite some time. If you haven't played Hollow Knight yet, from June 6th to the 12th in Europe, you have a Switch. If you have a Switch Online account, you can play the full version of Hollow Knight at no additional cost. You can carry over your save file to the full game too if you need more than those 7 days. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7 days to actually play through the game. You can then buy the full game and carry over your save. So, everybody's for the last few years, everybody's like, where's Hollow Knight 2? Where's Silk Song? I'm sorry, it's called Silk Song. Where's Silk Song? Where's Hollow Knight Silk Song? And we never hear about it. We never hear about it. And Team Cherry's like, we're still working on it. Then Nintendo does this, and everybody's like, oh, why would they randomly do this unless, we're going to hear about Silk Song in the near future? It's tinfoil hat talk, but I agree. It makes too much sense to me. Like, why now? Why give people Hollow Knight now and be like, hey, play Hollow Knight, by the way, because the sequel's coming. Rumors are that I've heard rumors that it will be shown at the Xbox presentation on Sunday. Fingers and toes crossed for that. That'd be great. If it's not shown there, we have the next Nintendo Direct sometime this month. Hopefully it will be shown there. But yes, I really think the timing on this is something else. If we don't hear anything about Hollow Knight Silk Song and Nintendo did this, I'd be like, what's going on here, man? Nobody internally was like, maybe we shouldn't do this one now. Maybe we should wait until the sequel's actually coming out, or there's an announcement about the release date of the sequel. So, like I said, my Mega Man conspiracy theory, I know was very, very, very low chance of happening. And it was my own personal conspiracy theory. This Hollow Knight one, I'm like, I can see why people are saying this. So, at the very earliest, we'll find out Sunday. I mean, if Microsoft's got a 2-hour press conference to do, they got to fill it with something. Curbo says game takes around 30 hours to beat, not 100% though, so it's well worth the trial. There you go. So you will get your Switch Online money's worth, and you're not paying for the game. And if you don't squeeze every drop out of the game in those 7 days, then you can cough up some cash and get the full game and continue on your journey. So again, that's only Europe. Disappointing that's not North America, but could still happen. Maybe Monday or something. We'll find out. Josh is not here. I don't get my introduction for North American releases. I don't get my Choo Choo Train. I don't get my Tetris music. It is what it is. I apologize. But here's what you get in North America this week. 10-in-1 classic games pack, Airy Peace of Mind, Airhead, Arcade Archives Kubrick, Astor Blade of the Monolith, Astroon Academy, Boing Boing, Brain Puzzles Bundle 12-in-1, Casual Puzzles Bundle 8-in-1, Cap Pipes, Counterforce Tactical Warfare, Craft Archaeology Simulator Pyramid to Polar, Delivery Drop Fading Afternoon, Garage Bad Dream Adventure, that's all one title, Gran Carismo, Gran Carismo, Gran Carismo. I wonder what they're trying to do with that name. Hidden Cats in Paris, High Score Anomaly Underground, Just Find It 3 Collector's Edition, Kameru, A Frog Refuge, Lesson Learned, Let Me Sleep, Mars Colonization Expedition Survival Simulator, Mine's Decent Bundle, that's Darkwood and the Gap. Darkwood and the Gap, 2 games in one. Musical Vibes, My Rummy, Operation Scorpion Takedown, Path to Purge, Potion Permit, Rainbow Diamonds, Rider's Spirits, Rocket Knight Adventures on the 11th. Oh my God, the Awesome Possum's coming back. Roxy Raccoon's Pinball Panic, 7 Days, Simulation Platinum Bundle, Bus Construction, Firefighting, Lawn Mowing, Sociable Soccer 24, Sugoi Girls, Lovely Wife, Star Wars Hunters, free-to-play game. Finally came out. That was announced in 2022, I believe. Super Valis 4, The Smurfs Village Party, Ultimate Children Fun Pack Games Collection 6-in-1, Valis the Phantasm Soldier, Valis the Phantasm Soldier, and Valis the Phantasm Soldier 2. So the 2 versions of Valis the Phantasm Soldier are the family computer version or the PC 88 version. Valis the Phantasm Soldier 2 is the MSX2 version. There's also Valis 3, the Mega Drive version. Willy's Wonderland, the game, and Zombie Derby. There you go for North America. What do we got in Europe? No Nikki Hill, no jingle. And this is what Nikki Hill sounds like. Here are the games coming to Switch for June 6th and onward, the year of our Lord 2024. The Smurfs Village Party, Airy Peace of Mind, Airhead, Cat Pipes, Color, Water, Sort, Cybercube, Democracy 4 Console Edition, Downward Enhanced, Fading Afternoon, Garage Bad Dream Adventure, Ghost Teen, Escape from Limbo, Hentai Dating Stories, Brazil, Hentai Girls, Racy Racer, High Score Anomaly Underground, Just Find It 3 Collector's Edition, Kitei 64, Korean Rail Driving Tour LRT Busan Gimhae, Let Me Sleep, Mars Colonization Expedition Survival Simulator, Mesmeratu, Mine's Decent Bundle, that is again Darkwood and The Gap, My Rummy, Neon Doctrine's Greatest Hits Volume 1, Nine Nights Marshall Sealand Story, Ovoid Console Edition, Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2 bundle that is also available in North America. It is both games in one for, I believe, $75 American. Riders Spirits, Ruler Battle Online, Skeller Boy, Star Wars Hunters, Sticky Hands, Terror Mansion, The Cat, Ultra Mission, and Wakusei. Steister says, Case. Oh boy, this is another language as he's been doing. Kesekui sort. Nikki, I butchered that. Please don't ask me to repeat it. That is your North American, or that's your North American and European releases, my friends. We are done with the news section. Hi, Guy Bones. Good to see it. Woo, late night podcast, no rules. That's how it goes here. Darmani, you said post a link there. I'm so sorry. You're talking about a link for 1000 Resist. I can do that for you if you want. Just let me know. KC, did I say hello to you? If not, hello. Oh, Malik Halo, I appreciate the head bob gif, even though the link wasn't here. Thank you. Or even though the music wasn't playing, I mean. It's not a late night podcast, it's an early morning podcast. Well, it's true. It's 12:30 where I am. Oh, my review. Yes, you got it. You know what? I live to serve. I aim to please. If anybody wants to read any of my vapid ramblings, I'm happy to do it. So I've posted the link to my review. There you go. What have I been playing? Well, guys, as I said last week, you know how it is when you play a really good game and it's over and you're like, life has no meaning. I'll never do anything as great ever again. I'm still there with 1000 Resist. As I said a couple times now, I don't just think it's one of the greatest games, potentially the greatest game I've ever played. I said it's one of the greatest entertainment experiences I have ever had. So it's hitting me real hard, and I'm finding it extra difficult to get back into the swing of things with games. When I'm on a treadmill, I'm killing time no matter what. So I'm going to watch stuff. That's easy enough. But if I wasn't on a treadmill, I probably wouldn't be watching things either. So with games, I didn't play anything this week outside of Fortnite. Fortnite's different because I'm playing with friends and I'm bull shoveling. So that's a different kind of experience. But other stuff, I didn't do it. Didn't play anything. I can like physically feel the experience of 1000 Resist in me, and I'm just not ready to go on to the next thing. And I tried like the day after I beat it to play stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get over the hurdle right away. And I thought I did, and I didn't. I didn't. Tater tot. Oh, never mind. Talking about something else. So yeah, I didn't do anything, but I played plenty of Fortnite this week. I believe I've said this season is probably my favorite season of Fortnite I've ever played. Man, Season's so much fun, and it's the insanity level is so high, just so action packed and so much stuff going on and like chaos, pure chaos in the best way possible. Do and I feel exactly the same about this season. Like we couldn't be more on the same page. We are loving everything about this. So we're having an absolute blast. I've played more solo Fortnite this season than I have in a long time. I always play a little solo just because I like Fortnite, but man, this season, oh, it's doing it for me. It's so good. It's around until August. If you haven't tried this season, go go try. Man, is it fun. The cars and the gloves and well, we started calling the gloves mittens now when we play. It's just it's insanity, as I said. Insanity in the best possible way. Love it, love it, love it. It's an absolute blast. I would normally be playing on a Friday night, but I'm here because while I love Fortnite, I love you guys more. Uh, William says, "Oh, there's a conversation about Star Wars Hunters going on in the Discord. Yeah, I want to try that game. I mean, I like Star Wars. I've heard good things about this game. I like that. It's mobile and Switch, so I want to give it a shot. And I don't have any intentions on spending money on it, but yeah, I do want to give it a try. I want to check it out. So one more on the list of never-ending things to try, but I need something to get over that hurdle. So maybe that'll be the game. Who knows? So that's what I played. Now let's move on to questions. Send your questions to goninpod@gmail.com. Where? goninpod@gmail.com. They can be about Nintendo. They can be about video games in general or whatever the hell you want. Today's question comes from Mars, and they say just saw reviews for Corn Kids 64. Now people are raving about it. Is this a game you or someone else on the site will be playing or reviewing? I am playing it, Mars. I will be reviewing eventually, but other things popped up that I did take care of first. For those who don't know, Corn Kids 64 is a 3D platformer, very much in the style of Banjo Kazooie or Super Mario 64 or whatever other Glover, the great Glover. Old school 3D collectathon platformers from back in the day. Except there have been plenty of those in recent memory from indie developers, and some of them are good, some of them are great. But there's something about Corn Kids 64 where it really does nail the feeling of those 64 era 3D platformers. It does an excellent job. It just feels right. It has, I guess the best way to put it is it has the right amount of jank to a level that you appreciate, but not so much that you're like, oh, I don't miss when games were like this. Like they blurred the lines just enough where you're like, you get that nostalgic, good feeling without the looking back with rose tinted glasses feeling. So that's not an easy needle to thread. And what I played, I greatly enjoyed. I put about 6 hours into that game. I still have more to do. But yeah, I was enjoying it. Really hit that spot for me more so than any other modern 3D platformer I can think of, any other tribute 3D platformer. So if you are a fan of 3D platformers and you missed that era, then I suggest you check out Corn Kids 64. I still got a ways to go, but what I've played so far is extremely solid, enjoyable, and fun. We also have a Patreon question. You can join the Patreon for $1. Thank you, Billy. Jaketrix joined the Patreon and they ask this question. I was rewatching Alien 3 and I absolutely love what they do with the 20th Century Fox logo sequence. The fanfare plays as you would expect, but then the music quickly becomes sinister as it fades to black and the movie begins. Is there anything you can think of like this that you really like, be it a movie or a game that incorporates the opening logos, whether it be the music or a jingle associated with them, or even the way the logos are presented, just something clever or more immersive? Another example I can think of is Bayonetta 2's intro sequence in the city, or the Warner Brothers logo becoming the blimp in the original Batman the Animated Series. Alien 3 has always stuck with me because of the little twist at the start. Jaketrix, you stole what I had in my head before I saw that you said it because I don't read these ahead of time. I will forever remember the Warner Brothers logo on the blimp in Batman the Animated Series because I think the exact same thing. You get the logo, and then the music fades in, and the camera pans down off the blimp. Yep, I remember it perfectly. Great example. There are so many examples of this. I'm gonna go to the Discord in a second and see if anybody says anything, any examples. But what comes to mind right away for me is Marvel because they have the MCU logo and they've done things with the logo before. They've done it in black and white for certain ones. They've done it with um, where they've changed the characters in the letters, where they've Loki did something really cool with the logo. I remember. I want to say they did something for Miss Marvel where it was like, or maybe it was the Marvels where all the characters in the logos were all women. So Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau and whoever else, Scarlet Witch. Um, so Marvel's done a lot with that stuff. I just love intros and logos in general. They give me goosebumps very easily. I love the MCU logo, and I love when they play with the idea. Um, and you get that stuff very often from the MCU. So that's my most recent example. Again, I know there are others. I just cannot think of them at this time. Let's see if anybody in the Discord has any. Ooh. DreamWorks is really good at customizing their logo for movies, says Kolma. Uh, Gecko Katsune says there's been a few good Universal logos, but I can't think any specifics. Kolma posted the Animaniacs intro where Yakko, Wacko, and Dot come out of the Warner Brothers water tower. So yeah, literally they burst out from behind the Warner Brothers logo. Tater Tot says, I remember the X in the Fox logo lingering for a split second in front of the X-Men movies. That's a great example. There you go. Hi, Jovial Jeffer. Good to see you. Malik Halo, that I love that clip from Billy so much. Name a woman. A woman? Any woman. Any woman? Um, I have not tried Jovial. I see you saying, did you try Balatro yet? I have not. I have not tried it yet. Just got announced for physical release today. So if you have been holding out for physical release on Balatro, it's coming. But yeah, that's all I got for logos. There's other examples. Why am I blanking so much? Now I'm just stuck on logos that I really like. I love the Star Wars Disney Plus logo intro. You get like the red and blue lights sweeping by, like familiar familiar helmets from different characters. And that you get a little song with that. I really like that, but that hasn't blended into anything like as far as the start of the movie. Um, you know what'll happen as soon as I stop streaming, I'll be able to name like 8 of them, but that's all I got right now. So cool question. I love that kind of stuff. I'm a logo jingle. They do it for me, man. Like when you have some kind of brand. Oh, like actually, this does work. I'm gonna I'm gonna look it up now, and I'm gonna post it in the Discord. I am. It gives me goosebumps, and it makes me seriously almost every time. It brings it almost brings a tear to my eye. I love it so much. So when you give me a logo or an intro to a logo for something that I personally really enjoy, just seeing that gets me so hyped. And WWE just did a new it's not they're not calling it an intro. There's a name for it, whatever it's called. A signature. Yeah, it's got to be their signature. Oh, it says signature right there. For the beginning of every program. So if you watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or any of their premium live events, it starts with this new signature intro, and it's very much inspired by MCU stuff, and that makes a lot of sense because someone working at the company used to do a lot of Marvel stuff, but they did like a little logo animation and intro song, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I love it so much. There's like a little musical sting at the end. It's just 3 notes. It goes whom whum whum, and I love. Oh, man, I love it. It just makes it feel so damn cool. I posted it in the Discord. I love the intro so much. I'm going to be so disappointed when they take it away. That's how I am. I see something I like and I'm like, well, it's going to be gone in a few years, but I'll enjoy it while it's here. Man, do I love it. And just the other week they played it and they messed around with it where there was like static and it looked like somebody was cutting in and it bled into like a takeover from a wrestler that's like teasing his appearance uh in WWE at some point in the near future. So that's the perfect example. It literally bled into that. So it works. Um did the Nintendo logo do something cool in the Mario movie? Says Tentavision. I don't remember either, my friend. If it did, it didn't stick with me, obviously. Microtic, did I say hi to you? I must have. Microtic says they need a WWE anime. There have been comic books that are wrestling, and there's been wrestling anime, but not WWE specifically. I know fans have drawn WWE wrestlers in anime style. And I know plenty of people have clamored for a WWE anime. That would be awesome. Maybe at some point. I know people have also done AI generated examples of it, but yeah, I would love that. Yeah, that Nintendo logo, that's a great example. Like Mario Kart 64 has the one where like the logo spins around and you hear like the racing noise as it goes by, and the Mario's in there too, I think. Um, so there you go. There's an example. And I saw people in the Discord posting Sega. Yeah, Sega had a lot of them. Sonic playing with the logo, Earthworm Jim playing with the logo. Um, Vector Man did stuff with the logo. So yeah, plenty of that with Sega. And there's no music. There's no banter with anybody but me and the Discord people. That's it. That's all we got. We had our longest show ever a few weeks ago at like 3 hours and 4 minutes. And I just did a tight set on my own here, an hour and 20 minutes. I apologize. That's all we got. It was a quiet work week until today. And, it's going to be busy as we go on. So maybe next episode I should be able to do a regular show. There's nothing lined up for weekends as far as I know, which is good. But who knows? Maybe Nintendo will hold their direct this week. I got no idea. We'll find out together. But thank you, Tater Tot. That's very nice. So that's all I got. I had something for the after show. Completely blanked on it, so I don't know. But I'll try and remember. But yeah, as far as this week's podcast, that's all we got. I'm not going to try and prolong it because I respect you guys too much. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As far as I know, next week we'll be back to a regular show. Fingers crossed, toes crossed. I always enjoy discussing things with people at the table more because they harass me, I harass them, we laugh. It's a great time. But you do what you got to do sometimes. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. After show. There was something I was going to talk about. Oh, I don't remember what it was. And I was kind of excited to talk about it. And I do this all the time. Like, oh, I should write a note. No, I'll remember. How could I forget this? I'm so excited about it. Don't remember anything. It's gone. God, it's gonna drive me nuts. And again, as soon as I click the stop button, it's gonna come flooding back. But I'm not gonna if any of you guys have a question in the next couple seconds, go ahead and ask. But I'm not gonna sit here and vamp about nothing. It wasn't about the Golden Girls, Como, because they're never far from my mind, and I would never ever forget anything about the Golden Girls. So that's that. I'm just gonna end it. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I was talking to Mom Brain earlier, and I was struggling. Hi, Tall Show. Struggling to formulate words and sentences with her when I was talking, and she had a long day too, and we were doing it back and forth to each other. And she was like, "I gotta go to bed." Uh, you got a question, Tent Division, Microtic. I will comment on that in a second. What the hell happened here? Jesus Christ. If they made a new Mega Man series of games, like say they did with X or Legends or Battle Network, what genre would you want it to be, other than exactly like the originals, which is the obvious answer? I mean, that's that's what I want. Next to that, I want a new Legends. I really liked Legends, so I'm down for a new Legends game, and I'm sad that that one that was in the works for the 3DS never saw release. Still breaks my heart, but yeah, bring that back. That's what I want. And my chronic, you say go watch Kaiju number 8. I do watch Kaiju number 8, and with I liked it from the beginning, but with each episode that passes, I like it even more. And I will tell you my anime watching schedule. So I know new things come out on the weekend or weekend adjacent. Um, but I save them for Monday. Why do I do that? I don't know. I don't know. But then by Monday, I guess it's because I have so many saved up by Monday that it takes up a whole treadmill session for me. So Monday, when Monday comes around, I watch the new episode of Go Go Loser Rangers, the new episode of Kaiju number 8, and the new episode of Demon Slayer, because that season's going now. So back to back to back, I'm in heaven. New episodes all around, love it. And then I'll throw in like an episode of whatever I'm watching currently. So lately it's been those three and Vinland Saga. So that is my plan for Monday. And the order I watch them in is Go Go Loser Ranger, which I have to watch on Hulu. Then I go over to Disney Plus, or no, then I go over to Crunchyroll and watch. Uh, I watch Demon Slayer because Go Go Loser Ranger and Demon Slayer are only subbed. Then I go to Kaiju number 8 because that's dubbed, and I really like the dub of that. And then I go to Vinland Saga dubbed. So that's what's going on. Someone please draw Armsy in this exact setup anime style. I mean, if Crazy Colonel ends up listening to the after show, maybe I'll get your wish. All right, that's it, guys. I gotta do more work. I gotta go walk. It's a whole rigmarole. But thanks for joining me on this random Friday, Saturday podcast. I appreciate it. I did not expect so many people to come in at night when I didn't even announce the show. So thank you. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I'm sure some of you will be on the site tomorrow waiting to see what things get announced. And there are sure to be plenty, thanks to mostly the Wholesome Games show. So we'll be busy this weekend. There will be plenty to talk about. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Play some games. Hang out with friends and family. Rest. Relax. You deserve it. And I'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. And for Do, I'll give a goodbye.